So I know it is uncommon now for me to do back-to-back news videos, but I figured that there was enough news today to talk about to talk about what's going on in our favorite sport, the world of professional wrestling. And it starts with two interesting reports, one of which from Dynamite last night, where AEW crowned a new number one contender for the AEW World Women's Championship with Sky Blue being the one that will challenge Tony Storm for the AEW World Women's Championship, which was, again, much like finding out Thea Hale was challenging for the women's title on NXT, finding out Sky Blue was challenging for the women's title in AEW, honestly is a nice change of pace. And honestly, it was something unexpected, so props to AEW for doing something unexpected and giving somebody new and different an opportunity at the world title. Also, according to reports, Thea Hale is the youngest number one contender for any championship in WWE history, which is, I think an accomplishment in itself for Thea Hale, whether she wins or she loses, but it's like I said, Thea Hale is somebody that, I don't want to say always the bridesmaid, never the bride, but it just seems like that's what she's been as, like, the supporter of Andre Chase and Duke Hudson in Chase U, as opposed to somebody that was really built up in a position where she's, I don't want to say somebody that they want to build upon, but I'm figuring that the reason why she may not be competing as often is because she's 20 years old, which is honestly a little bit insane, but also it goes back to being one of those cases of by the way, sometimes I'm just really good with it, sometimes I'm not. But this is also why I do 2 out of 3 falls matches. But it just goes back to the idea of one thing that I say at 29 years old, it's crazy what you see people at 20 years old or 18 years old doing, thinking, like, holy crap. But congratulations to both Sky Blue and Thea Hale, as both women are getting what I believe to be their first opportunities at Championship Gold in AEW and WWE respectively. Speaking of AEW, though, we will get to more information about AEW later in the news videos. But we jump over to Dark Side of the Ring and a potential story about Buff Bagwell. Because apparently Buff Bagwell spoke about the idea of currently working with the Dark Side producers about his own episode of Dark Side of the Ring, which, to my knowledge, is not supposed to happen this season, because, to my knowledge, he is not a part of the season, which thus far we've seen Magnum TA and Chris Candido and Tammy as the main episodes of Dark Side of the Ring. And as far as I know, the 10 episodes of Dark Side are not set to include Buff Bagwell, as according to this article on Cage Side Seats, the feature shows Magnum TA, Chris Candido and Tammy, Adrian Adonis, Doink the Clown, Junkyard Dog, Magnum, Marty Jannetty, Bam Bam Bigelow, Abdullah, the Graham Family, Bash at the Beach 2000, and that's it. Initially, we know that. Mike Awesome and Scott Hall were supposed to be featured in Dark Side this season, but due to circumstances outside of our control, I believe because the reason why they scrapped Mike Awesome is because of the fact that they didn't like the fact that it leaked out before the season was announced, or also because of the fact that people that were a part of the episode did not like what could have leaked, or what would have. I get the best way to put it is with clarity that uncomfortability with talking about the subject matters that would be discussed in those videos, specifically the Scott Hall one, which Scott Hall just passed away a year ago, so it's not really surprising that people wouldn't really want to talk about all the stuff that, helped contribute to his untimely passing this soon after he passed. So I think it is possible that maybe if Buff Bagwell is actually, not talking nonsense, that maybe Buff could be talking about the fact that they're already filming season 5 for Darkseid, which would be, honestly, it would be something I would love to hear about, because I'm a big fan of Dark Side of the Ring and would love to know that Darkseid is going to stick around even if Vice is filing for bankruptcy. Even if Vice is filing for bankruptcy, I would still love to know that Dark Side of the Ring is going to stick around. So, but I just thought that was something interesting because, I just thought that was something interesting because of the fact that he's not a part of this season, so maybe we're talking about next season with Buff Bagwell. Who really knows, to be honest with you? As we move over to AEW again, Tony Khan actually credits the president and CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery with for the advent of AEW Collision on Saturdays. In a recent interview with Sports Illustrated, Tony Khan spoke about how it was the president of Warner Brothers Discovery's idea for AEW to do AEW, or for the start of AEW Collision. So, honestly, props to Tony Khan for giving his just due to the president of Warner Brothers, but it also shows how good of a relationship, that's the word, how good of a relationship AEW has with Warner Brothers Discovery if the president of the company is coming up with ideas for AEW to have more programming on Warner Brothers. On Warner Brothers on Warner Brothers main networks. Again, we do have information about CM Punk and Forbidden Door, but we're going to save that for the next news video. As we wrap up this news video with Edge and the story that everybody's been waiting for, when is Edge going to retire? And if we date back to last year in Toronto, Edge did say the next time WWE was in Toronto would be his last time in Toronto, insinuating that after 30 years he would retire in Toronto. that he would retire in Toronto. And the fact of the matter is, WWE returns for a SmackDown show in Toronto in August, specifically on August 18th. Specifically on August 18th. And the fact of the matter is, could that be when we see the end of Edge in WWE? I do believe it could be the end of Edge in WWE. And with the fact that SummerSlam is right around the corner, could it be that SummerSlam is when Edge has his last match and then SmackDown is when he says goodbye? I think it is potential. It does have potential for that to be the case, especially Edge going out on his terms in his home country of Canada, in the place where it all started back in 1992, in August 1992, in Toronto. I think that is something we could see, and SummerSlam could be Edge's retirement match because they're not going to have it on a SmackDown just because it's in Toronto. Either way, though, we'll see what happens. That is it for this news video. I will keep you up to date on everything relating to Edge and his retirement as it draws closer, and anything else on Dark Side of the Ring. If maybe they add more episodes to this season, we'll see what happens. But either way, we got more news to get to today, so let's end this video and start anew.